It's time for Real Talk. Movies. Everyone loves them. And opinions, everyone has them. But your opinion is the one that matters. Real Talk allows you to become the film critic. So let's see if we agree on a film, or do we agree to disagree? Thanks for tuning in to another edition of Real Talk, the Daily Journal's web series. Today's film is Victor Frankenstein, and I have to tell you, I was not really excited about going to see this. However, I was pleasantly surprised by this new rendition with a different perspective. We got to know Igor, where he came from, and a lot about him. But who knows more than anybody about Frankenstein? My guest today, Steve Benoit. Thank you so much for coming and joining me on the show.
Anytime.
Now, you saw the show, Victor Frankenstein, starring Daniel Radcliffe and James McAvoy.
Right.
And tell me your thoughts. I'd really like to dig and probe a little bit as to what you thought of the movie, how it compares to the book, because you teach that in your class, or you have taught that in your class, and how it compares with all things Frankenstein.
Well, first of all, it's important to note that Igor is not even a character in the book. He's a character that was originally made up for the 1931 version of the book, and it's one of those things that's been perpetuated throughout all kinds of other versions of the film. The creator of the film has taken all the mythologies from all the films and has tipped his hat to all the mythologies that have been perpetuated in all these different movies. He has several tips of the hat to the old Hammer films from the 60s and 70s. So it had that very German feel, that very steampunk feel. He also tips his hat to the original Boris Karloff, because there's a point in there where he says, I want him to have a flat head. It comes from the original makeup man from the 1931 version, who was trying to roboticize the creature. And they saw that all the robots had flat heads, so he decided he was going to make a flat head. So he gives a little tribute there. He even gives a tip of the hat to Mel Brooks.
Yes, he does.
In Young Frankenstein. I'm glad you noticed that, because I was just like, yeah, Mel Brooks, that's fun.
What did you think about the action? This was a really high action film, and it actually, at first, I thought it was like a Guy Ritchie film. That's the feel that it had to it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And does the novel have a lot of action like that in it, or is this something that the creators kind of...
It has its moments. Frankenstein was written during the Romantic Age, and so you're going to get long, drawn-out pieces that talk about nature and talk about the mysteries of nature and the beauty of nature. And so it kind of goes on for those things. To label the original Frankenstein book as an action piece would be a misnomer.
Okay.
I would definitely agree with you. This is an action film because there are fights. There's a section there with the early creature, the first version of the creature, which, again, not in the book and not in several of the movies.
Okay.
But it was just like, this makes sense. And so even though it's not very much like the book, it's still a fascinating film to watch. It's a great film to watch. It has a great feel.
Igor, speak up. What do you think? Everyday science and technology changes the way we live our lives. Well said, that man.
We got to know both Frankenstein and also Igor. We really got to know them on all their different levels and see them as people and their hurts from their past, and see how that shaped them into the human beings that they are now. Is there any part of this film that you just did not like?
Didn't like the first creature. No! It wasn't because it didn't make sense with the film. It was just gross to look at. You know, I was just like, I don't...
Oh, there were plenty of gross things to look at. How about the draining of the infection and the barbaric chiropractic work?
I did cringe at that. That was crazy.
So overall, I think that we're going to agree on recommending this film.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well worth the money paid to see it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Anytime.
And that's it for another Real Talk. Be sure to tune in next week when David Jarecki joins me to talk about In the Heart of the Sea. And that's a wrap.